Brock here with Rock Hill Farms, and I'm excited to show you this new stump bucket I just got from Artillian. I've got it mounted on at the same time as my old stump bucket, and that was kind of neat just to do it, but it's probably not practical because having two of them on there at the same time takes away from one of the strong points of a stump bucket, which is the ability to focus all of the loader force onto a small area. So, at first glance, these two might look almost the same, but there's a few really key improvements that I think are going to make it a better product. Number one, this has a serrated cutting edge down both sides, whereas this is a straight side. Number two, the front teeth are a removable and replaceable edge. The only problem I've ever had with my other bucket is after using the heck out of it and digging a ton of rocks with it, I bent a couple of these front teeth. I just straightened the teeth out and went back to what I was doing. Not that big a deal, but you know you can only straighten something so many times before it's going to weaken or snap off. So what they've done is come out with a removable edge so that if you ever have that problem, you can just swap it out. So I've got several digging projects to do with this, and we're going to jump into that. We're going to take out a big bush, we're going to try to dig out a piece of concrete over here, and I might even start on one of these trenches to the pond, because these stump buckets can also be used as a trencher. But I'll stop talking for now, we'll get some work done, and then stick around to the end. I'll give you my thoughts on this product, and also why I choose Artillian. Some people raise up things they think are negatives about Artillian that I actually see are positives. So we'll talk about that at the end. So I literally thought I was going to have to dig all around that and break roots and all this, and popped it right up like nothing. So, I mean, that's definitely a good thing. You don't want to struggle with it any more than you have to. I just didn't think it would be that easy. So, now we're going to move on. I think I'm going to try to dig out that big chunk of concrete. I'll come back later and drag this up to the brush pile with the grapple, and might run the brush hog over this spot that's left, and I'll have to fill in a little bit of dirt. But I don't want to do all that in this video. I want to focus on what we can dig. A little bit ago, I ripped a fence out that ran down this way, and the last post was set into a huge chunk of concrete. And a lot of those pieces of concrete pulled out with the post. On this one, the post was pretty rotten, it snapped off. So somewhere in this area, there's a big piece of concrete, probably 3 foot long and 12, 18 inch diameter. So I'm going to find that, and then we'll get it out with the stump bucket. Alright, so it looks like I found it. It's already buried from when I reshuffled this dirt to level it out, but I don't want to be running a plow or a disc or something across here and find it the hard way in the future. So we're going to go ahead and get her out. So I didn't get around to doing any trenching in this video, but I have a separate video on trenching with this Artillian stump bucket. And if you watch the way I'm digging in this spot right here, you can pretty easily see that it would work well as a trenching bucket. especially if you want a trench that's about a foot wide and 12 to 16 inches deep. It's easy to maintain a consistent depth. And clearly, one of these buckets won't replace a backhoe for some types of work, but for certain things, it's a very cost-effective substitute when you figure this bucket's a couple $100 and a backhoe is several $1,000s. Well, after making a mess right here and digging all around looking for that, I realized that the end post was here, but then there was a gap where the gate used to be, and it was the last post of the actual fence line. So I'm thinking it's about 10 to 12 feet down that way. I'll take my spade and try to find that spot again. I thought I had missed the spot again. Turns out that when I started digging right here, I was just hitting the edge of it and breaking it. I kept pulling up rocks and thinking, all right, it's just a rock, but it's concrete. So I've got that out, and I'll fill this back in with the regular bucket later. You can do it with this, but it'd be a little quicker with the regular bucket. I'm gonna go pull some saplings up there just to show how it does on that. Then I'll give my final thoughts on the improvements to this bucket and overall why I like using these Artillian products. All right, so I wanted to show a couple of alternative uses, but where I found this the most useful is for saplings like what's behind me. These are 3-4 inch, really too big for my bush hog. And if I want to clear this area right here, which I actually am getting ready to do, I'm gonna clear this whole area. The best thing I have would be that stump bucket. So I'm gonna go get it and we'll rip out these good sized trees. I mean, they're gonna have a nice root system in. Some of these, based on the lift power and the horsepower of my tractor, I'll probably have to dig and break the roots around them before I can rip them out. So that is a pretty good sized tree. And it only took me a couple minutes to get that out. Now these littler ones behind me that are like 2-3 inch diameter, you pop them out in one shot like I did that bush in the front. Something like this that has branched out at the top is also branched out down here, and you're gonna have to rip your way through these before the main trunk will come down. All right, so if you haven't already thought about it in this way, the real advantage to a stump bucket is that even a little tractor like my 2 Series John Deere here, when it focuses all of the leverage the tractor has in a space this wide, it allows you to get a lot more lifting force and a lot more digging power. And so that's where the magic of a stump bucket comes in. The reason I'm so fond of Artillian, a lot of it has to do with the modular system, that I can have a whole series of attachments in my truck bed. I can take the grapple, the stump bucket, the pallet forks, all, and put them in a very small space. And that's because it all comes apart and you can switch between it all. I can put the snowplow in there too. Like, the ability to break it down like that and switch attachments is fantastic. And the fact that you only have to buy the frame once makes what starts out as a premium high-end product ends up being fairly reasonable if you get multiple attachments on that same frame. Because normally if you buy a grapple, you might buy a grapple a little cheaper than this one. But then you want pallet forks and you have to buy a new frame. You want a stump bucket, you have to buy a new frame. Or it's all one piece, you know, but you're having to buy that whole thing, where with this system, if you already have the grapple or you already have the pallet forks and you want to add the stump bucket, it's actually pretty cheap. And then the other complaint that I get, people say, well, I don't want to, you know, pull those front end pieces off. Number one, it doesn't take that long, but number two, if you don't want to swap your pieces on and off of this frame, you don't have to. You can buy each piece with a frame. You can buy the grapple with a frame, you can buy the pallet forks with a frame, you can have all of these set up just like any other brand of attachments. I'm really happy with the changes they've made here. I think it's a better product. I appreciate you taking time to watch this video. In just a minute, you'll see links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.